Beastars Tutorials.
Hey friends, welcome back. And today we got something really special. Like 1,000 people have been telling me, like, alright, you play TCG games, but you have never made how to. Like, we don't know how to play cards and you're just doing card videos. Alright, so this is the How to TCG Pokemon Edition. By the way, ta-da! This is very cool. Thank you, McDonald's, especially for Fernandez. Like, she's been giving me these little things. They're super cool, though. Like, listen. Yay! Super cool. I have more of this, but I cannot put them here because they're green. You know. So, people, without further ado, let's go to How to TCG Pokemon Edition. Okay, guys, so to begin the video, yeah, I'm caught. Alright? But it's alright, it happens. So the first thing we have to know is terminology. So in card games, most of the terminologies are the same. Example, you have a deck of cards, which is all your cards together. In Pokemon, you can have no more and no less than 60 cards. So you need a deck with 60 cards. But you cannot repeat a card more than 4 times. So, for example, you can have 4 of these cards, but no more than 4 of that exactly same card. So it happens with every card. It doesn't matter. You cannot have more than 4, unless they are energies, where you can have as many as you like. Well, if it is not a special energy. If it is a special, then you cannot have more than 4. So it's the same rule. So in Pokemon, you have a deck, 60 cards. Remember, you're gonna be like placed right here in your battlefield. This is like your playmat. This is the playmat. It's like your battlefield. It's like your side of the battlefield. Your opponent have its own side too. So it's its own side, your side and your opponent's side. So in Pokemon, it's a turn, and most of them, like all of the TCG games are based in turns. Like it's your turn and it's my turn. The difference between Pokemon and all the other TCG games is that in Pokemon, your opponent cannot do anything during your turn. So it's only you. You play your turn, and when you finish your turn, then your opponent play its turn, and etc. Like you keep coming back and forward. So your opponent cannot do anything during your turn in Pokemon. So when you finish your turn, like you finish your turn in like 3 ways most of the time. Or you finish your turn because you want to finish. When you attack, when you use an attack from a Pokemon, you finish your turn. When you Mega Evolve, that we will explain it more in details later. Like this is a Pokemon EX and this is a Mega EX. When you Mega Evolve, your turn will finish too. And there are certain cards that says that if you play them, your turn finishes. So that's it. That's how you end the turn. So remember, you have your deck in this corner, and you will draw cards, right? You're gonna have one card here, which will be your active Pokemon, and you can have up to 5 bench Pokemons, which we will explain later more in details. But you need to know this terminology to understand what the card says. So some like cards say something, and then if you don't know these terminologies, you will not be able to understand. So this is it. This is what you have to know. So you have your deck, you have 5 bench Pokemons, and you got an active Pokemon, which is the only Pokemon who can attack. And we will explain later how to move them. All right. So something else. Every card which you use or your opponent kills, like every Pokemon your opponent's kill, go to the discard pile. So in the cards in the discard pile are cards you cannot take unless you have a special card to get them from there, which we will explain later too. So okay, let's review. We got the deck, active Pokemon with the one who attacks, up to 5 bench Pokemon, and then you got the discard pile. And you will have 6 cards here that will be called your prize cards. Every time you kill your opponent, you will get one of this as a prize. If you get all of this, game finishes. And we will explain how to finish the game in other ways too. So now that you know the terminology, and so let's start with this tutorial the right way. So let's proceed to the next part. Card types. In Pokemon, you have five card types. You got Pokemons, like, let me put it here. You got Pokemons, right? You have energies. We will explain all of these cards in detail later. I'm sorry if the video is too long, but the game is not that easy. Okay, so let's see. We got items. Items. We got supporters, right there. Supporters. And we have stadiums, right? So if you notice, these three cards are trainers, right? But they are different type of trainers, okay? Item, supporter, and stadium. We will explain each of these cards in detail in the following video. Okay, so let's start with the Pokemons. And let's just put this aside. Start with the Pokemons. So this is a Pokemon card. What is the first thing you need to know about Pokemon cards? Well, a Pokemon card has this right here. Or it can be a basic Pokemon. It can be a stage 1 Pokemon. It can be a stage 2 Pokemon. It can be a Pokemon EX right here. And it can be a Mega EX. We have Pokemon Breaks too. And there is a new one, which I will put right here. Right here. Look at it. There are, I don't have it physical, but I'm showing it to you. So this right here is a Pokemon GX, which we will explain. Okay, so let's start with this. This is the first thing we need to see. All right. So Snivy, that's the name of the Pokemon here. This is a basic Pokemon. So what is a basic Pokemon? Basic Pokemons are the only Pokemons you can put on the field. Okay, like stage 1 Pokemons and stage 2 Pokemons are evolutions. So for example, for playing at this stage 1 Pokemon, you will need to first play this Pokemon and then wait one turn and then play the other Pokemon on top of that. And then you evolve this Pokemon to this one. Something important about evolving Pokemons is that you cannot evolve a Pokemon in one turn. So if you put this Pokemon in this turn, you cannot evolve it. Even if you have the card in your hand, you cannot evolve it this turn. You need to wait for the next turn to evolve it. And if you want to evolve it again to a stage 2 Pokemon, which requires the stage 1, look at this, both from Servine, and this is Servine. So you will need to wait another turn for you to be able to evolve it to the next one and then make this Pokemon. Alright? But let's get to the first card again. I was just trying to explain you how it works. So let's see. This is your HP. This is your Pokemon life points. So if your opponent hits you with more than 60, it will kill your Pokemon. Now, something important to mention too, let me see, is like, this is a dice which we use to put counters. Example, if your opponent hits you with 30 points, your Pokemon will have 3 counters there, which is 30. So your remaining HP will be 30. So if your opponent hits you again with those 30 points, your Pokemon will die. When your Pokemon is the active Pokemon, imagine that you have like 2 other Pokemons right here. Let's put them. And you have 2 other Pokemons in the bench. If your opponent kills this Pokemon, your Pokemon goes to the discard pile. As you remember, you have a deck and a discard pile. And you will need to put 1 Pokemon as active. If you don't have Pokemons in your bench, and your opponent kills the active Pokemon, it's game over and your opponent wins. So you need to always keep Pokemons on the bench or you will die. Alright, so let's keep on. This is the attack, which is blood, right? So if you see, this right here is the cost of the attack. This means that you need to put one grass energy. If you see, is there? It's grass right here. One grass energy in order to use that attack. Let's see if I can find a grass energy. Give me a second. All right. So I have a bunch of grass energies here, and I don't find the one I want to find. But it's alright. Let's put this one. Look, this is a grass energy. So you attach a grass energy, and you can use this attack. You cannot use that attack if you don't have a grass energy. So something important: you can only attach one energy per turn. That's something very important to remember. You can only attach one energy per turn. We will explain more about this because some other Pokemons needs more requirements. Like they need more energies in order to attack. This one only needs one. So one energy will do the attack. This attack does 10. This is called damage. So that's the damage the Pokemon actually give to your opponent, 10. So something important is the effect of your attack. The cards have the attacks, most of them have effects, which is this part right here. So for example, look, if you attack your opponent with 10, you heal 10 damage from this Pokemon. So it will say if your opponent attacks you and you got 5, example, with 10 points you will die. But if you use blood, you hit your opponent with 10. Let's see that there is another Pokemon here as an active for your opponent. You will hit your opponent with 10, right here, with 10. This is 10. Oh, this is our special Pokemon dice. So example, look, you have numbers, but this is like number 1. And we will explain what the symbols is later. So 1, you got 10. So, but you will heal from your Pokemon 10 points. So instead of 50, you have 40. That's the effect of the attack. All right, so let's continue with this. What else is here that you need to know? Well, weakness and resistance. This Pokemon has no resistance, as you can see, but it has weakness. Weakness means that if you are attacked by a Pokemon that these type of Pokemons, you will get the attack twice. It's double the damage. Example, this one, if you can, as you can see, have fire weakness. So if they attack my Pokemon with a fire Pokemon, and for example he hits me with 20, it will not be 20, it will be 40, because I have weakness to that type of Pokemons. All right, what else? We got retreat cost, which is very important. Retreat cost. By the way, this card has no resistance. For example, this one has resistance. That's good to mention. Resistance. It means that if a fighting type Pokemon attacks me and hit me, for example, with 60, I will not get 60, I will get 40 because I have minus 20 right here. All right, so that's resistance. So what about retreat cost? It says that you need to, for retreating, you actually need to pay 1 energy. This energy right here means that it can be any type of energy. It doesn't have to be specific as a specific type. For example, like grass, fire. It doesn't matter what energy you discard. You have to discard 1 energy. So what is retreating? As you remember, I told you that you can have bench Pokemons and the active Pokemon. So retreating means, example, imagine you have this energy attached to your Pokemon. So if you want to move this Pokemon to your bench to your bench and put a bench Pokemon to be the active, you need to discard 1 energy because that's what is required. Only 1. Come on, focus. Only 1. Other Pokemons require more, but this one only requires 1. So you discard this energy and then you can actually move your Pokemon and put other up. As you can see, this Pokemon have 2 retreat costs. It has 2 retreat costs. So to move this Pokemon back, you will need to pay 2 energies instead of 1. Sometimes moving a Pokemon is very important for tactical situations. So we will talk about it later. What else is in a card? Well, it has this. This is the person who actually made the design of the card. So that's the name of it. And this symbol right here, you can see, is the expansion. Example, every like specific length of time, like they release new content, like new cards, and they have a special expansion. Example, this one is called Fates Collide. That's how this expansion is called. And there are 124 cards, and this card is number 5 of those 124 cards collection from Fates Collide. As you can see, like there are more Pokemon. For example, this symbol right here means Phantom Forces. So as you can see, this is a different expansion, right? For example, this right here, you can see it's different. It's a promo. A promo card comes in a thin, like a metal box. Let me see if I have one here to show you. Like something like this, like a metal box. Or they come in a special booster packs on a special box, all right? So that's what promo means. But there are more cards. For example, look at this one. This is Breakpoint, right? So that's very important if you are a collector and to identify what card you want. Because for example, I can have a different Snivy from another collection and it's not the same Snivy. Maybe you have different attacks. So it's important to know what expansion you're talking about when you're talking about Snivy. Example, oh yeah, it's Snivy from Fates Collide. And sometimes it happens that there are two Pokemons repeated in the same expansion. So you will have to mention the number so that you know which one it is. So this is a Pokemon card. And that's it. So let's explain further in Pokemon cards. What happens with the stages? Okay, so remember, you can those basic cards are the only cards you can play automatically. Okay, you can put them as bench Pokemon, and at the beginning of the game, you will draw 7 cards. Okay, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You will draw 7 cards at the beginning of the game, and if you don't have a basic Pokemon, example, look at this hand. I don't have a basic Pokemon. So if you don't have a I only have 6 here. Huh? Okay, wait. And draw. Oh, it's here. Okay. So as you can see, I don't have a basic Pokemon. So I cannot play. I will have to shuffle my hand and take 7 cards again. And then your opponent will take a mulligan. Because you will have to mulligan your hand and then your opponent will take an extra card. You need to keep doing this until you get a basic Pokemon to play as your active Pokemon. So that's why basic Pokemon are so important. So after you play this Pokemon, in your next turn, you can play the stage 1, which is the evolution of the Pokemon. You can play it. So this card has something very important that you need to see. It has an ability. Some Pokemon have abilities. So what it means, it does something. Like it can be when you put it. It can be like when it's in your bench, or when another Pokemon does another thing. I mean, it will tell you. You just have to read it. Example, look at this. Ability, Serpentine Strangle. So it says, when you play this Pokemon from your hand to evolve one of your Pokemon, like we did right now, evolve it. So you may flip a coin. If heads, your opponent's active Pokemon is now paralyzed. So this is a Pokemon coin, right? This is a Pokemon coin. Like this one is like very worn out, but this is a Pokemon coin. Okay, so there are a lot of Pokemon coins you can find. This is it was supposed to be a Lugia back in the days, and like there are a lot of Pokemon coins you can actually find. When you buy like Elite Trainer boxes, which you can find in Amazon or eBay or whatever, you will get this type of a special Pokemon coin. Let's see if you can see this one. So example, this is another one. So you flip one of these coins, all right? So you flip one of these coins, and example, we got heads. So if you got head, your opponent active Pokemon is paralyzed. So what is paralyzed? Well, in Pokemon, you have different special conditions that a Pokemon can have, right? For example, special conditions can be like this. Your Pokemon can be Can be okay. It depends. It depends the position. Your Pokemon can be sleeping. When your Pokemon is sleeping, I don't remember if it's on this side or that side, but it doesn't matter. You find it online. So when your Pokemon is sleeping, you can actually every time you pass your turn, you will have to flip a coin. If you got tails, like in this case that we got tails, come on, we got if you got tails, then you cannot attack because your opponent is sleeping. I mean your Pokemon is sleeping. So what do you do? There are special cards for removing special conditions, and there are special cards that help you move your Pokemon. If you can manage to move your Pokemon, and then the special condition will disappear. Okay, so you can be paralyzed. Paralyzed. When you're paralyzed, you don't flip coins. I mean, you just cannot attack. You cannot attack, and you cannot retreat. You cannot use anything for your Pokemon because your Pokemon is paralyzed. You may use abilities though, so keep it in mind. So you will have to wait for your next turn to be able to use your Pokemon again. So your Pokemon can be confused. Some attacks from Pokemons get you confused. When you're confused, every time you use an attack, you will need to flip a coin, and if you get heads, you attack. But if you get tails, you don't attack, and you get 30 damage. You get 30 damage from your own attack. So you need to be careful when attacking when you're confused. There are two more special conditions. One is poison. Poison. When you're poisoned, every time a turn finishes, for example, you finish your turn, you get 10 damage. So next turn, 10 damage. I mean, when your opponent finishes the turn, you get 10 more damage. When you finish the turn again, 10 damage. Your opponent finishes, 10 damage, and like that. So it goes and goes and goes. So you can remove this, remember, by moving your Pokemon to the bench or with special cards to remove special conditions. If you evolve a Pokemon, all the special conditions will disappear too. So keep it in mind. You can be burned. Okay? If you are burned, every turn you will get 2 damage counters. And you will have to flip a coin. If you get tails, then you are still burned. But if you flip a coin and you get heads, then these burn stages will be removed. So that's what burns means, right? All right. What else? So remember, we got the Pokemons and the evolved Pokemon. So this Pokemon paralyze your opponent if you get, when you evolve it, you got the ability that when you evolve it, you can flip a coin, and if you get heads, then your opponent is paralyzed, so he cannot attack next turn, which is very nice. Okay, so imagine you play this first turn, you play this second turn, and you play the stage 2 in the third turn. And you have more attacks. By the way, this attack is 1 energy and it does 20. But this attack, which is a stage 2, look at the HP, which is bigger. It's very nice. So it got coil. Look at the attack, damage, and effect. So this means that I can use any type of energy. Like, it doesn't matter. It can be metal, it can be water, it can be electric. It doesn't have to be planet specifically. It can be whatever type of energy. So it does 40 damage to your opponent's active Pokemon. And then it says that during your next turn, this Pokemon's attacks do 60 more damage to your opponent's active Pokemon before applying weakness and resistance. So it means that if I use this attack this turn, next turn when I use this same attack, I will not hit you with 40, I'll hit you with 100 because I have a 60 extra damage. But it will be better to use this attack and then use this one. For example, this one hits you with 80. And if you use this attack the previous turn, then you'll have the 60 more damage, and then you will have 140. But it says this Pokemon can use Slashing Strike during your next turn. So if you use this attack this turn, you cannot use it next turn. So you can use, it will be nice to use play Coil and then Slashing Strike, Coil, Slashing Strike, and so on. So this is all about these cards. So what is a Pokemon EX? Alright, this is a Pokemon EX. Pokemon's EX, like, they're either basic or they're mega evolutions, right? So either basic Pokemons or they are mega evolutions. So what's the thing about Pokemon EXs? Like there's another one here. What's the thing about Pokemon EXs? Well, a Pokemon EX is more powerful. They're more powerful than these Pokemons, but there is a problem. When your opponent kills one of these Pokemon, they get one prize card, the one that we put here that we talked about like before. So they take one. But if they kill one of these Pokemons, they will get two prize cards. And remember, you only have 6 prize cards. So if they kill 3 of these Pokemons, they will win the game. But with these ones, they will need to kill 6 of them. So that's the difference. But the attacks of these Pokemons and the HP is so high. Look, it's a basic Pokemon and you have 170. And this is a basic Pokemon, but you have 60 HP. And the attack, look, it does 10. This one does, like, you can put 3 damage counters to one of your opponent's Pokemon. It means that with one energy, any type of energy, I can put 3 damage, like it means 30 points, to any Pokemon I want. Not to the active Pokemon, like it's going to be here, example like this. Imagine that this is your active Pokemon, that's your opponent active Pokemon, and your opponent has like bench Pokemons. So I can put 3 damage counters, not to this guy, I can put it to this one if I want. I'm not attacking directly, I'm putting counters, which is better. Like those are 30 points to that Pokemon, so I can put it to whatever Pokemon I want, and that's actually very nice. So the second attack, as you can see, second attack says that you need 3 energies. This is good to mention. 3 energies. You need 1 psychic energy. You need 1 psychic energy, like this one, 1 psychic energy, and you need 2 of any other energies. I can have like 3 of these ones, or I can put like any 3 energies. It doesn't matter. But you need 3 energies, like 1 psychic and 2 others. All right. So it says that it hits you with 60 damage, but now your opponent active Pokemon is poison. So you have 60 damage and you're poisoned. Remember, when you're poisoned, you take 1 every turn. All right. And it continues. It says that you switch this Pokemon with one of your bench Pokemon. So I attack you. Okay, this is the Pokemon for your opponent. Pokemon for your opponent. So I attack you. So I hit you with 60. You are poisoned, and I will switch with any Pokemon I want from my bench. All right. So when the turn finishes, you will get 1 more damage because of the poison, and when you finish your turn, you get another, and so on. So as you can see, these cards are very good. But if they kill one of these guys, you're gonna be losing 2. They're gonna be taking 2 prize cards instead of 1. So you really need to know when to use these type of cards. All right. So there are mega Pokemons, like mega evolutions. You can only play these cards on top of the EX cards. So example, as you can read right here, let's see if I can focus this. It says that you evolve from Danger EX. So you will have to have this card on the field and then evolve it, right? This uses, like, they have much bigger HP, and they have a very powerful attack, most of them, right? But something very important, when you mega evolve, your turn ends automatically, so you cannot attack unless you have what we call a Spirit Link. A Spirit Link is a card like this one. It's Gender Spirit Link. It's an item. We will explain that later. Gender Spirit Link says that if you put this card, if you attach this card to this Pokemon, like Gender Spirit Link, you can evolve and you don't lose your turn. That's exactly what it says. Look, your turn does not end if the Pokemon this card is attached to becomes Mega Danger EX. So there is a special Spirit Link for every, well, not all of them, but for most of the EX that has Mega Evolutions, there is a Spirit Link so that you don't lose your turn. But you will have to have that. You will have to have that card in your hands to be able to play it. All right. So look the attack. It says choose one of your opponent's Pokemon's attack and use it as this attack. So you will copy one of your opponent's attacks for any Pokemon your opponent has. You will copy one of those attacks and use it as your attack. That's a very powerful tool. So most of the Mega Evolutions have very powerful attacks and they can really win games. But remember, if they kill one of these, they're taking 2 prize cards instead of 1. So you really need to think about it. All right. So what else? As I showed you before, there are Pokemon GX. Like, let me put it here. Okay, a Pokemon GX, as you can see, have normal attacks. They can be basic Pokemons or they can be evolutions like stage 1, stage 2, stage 3. When you evolve a Pokemon to a GX, you don't lose your turn. It's like a normal evolution. And you have a GX attack. Something important. GX attack are very powerful, all of them. But when you can only use one GX attack per game. So example, it's not per turn, it's one per game. So if you use your GX attack, you cannot use a GX attack from any of your Pokemons anymore. So you really need to think about it when you're going to use the GX attacks because you can only use a GX attack one per game. So something else we have to see is Raticate Break. Well, breaks cards, not exactly Raticate, but break cards. Obviously, in order to get this card, break, look, it says that it evolves from Raticate. Okay? So, obviously, you will have to have Rattata and then play Raticate, and then you can play the break. Something important. When you play the break to a card, you put it like this. So, as you can see, you keep the attacks from your previous Pokemon and all the stats. The only thing that changes is that you have a new HP and you have a new attack or a new ability. So as you can see, you have a new attack and you have a new HP. But everything keeps the same. Example. Example. This card, as you can see, doesn't have retreat, like retreat cost, and you have abilities and an attack. When you put, and look at the HP, it's 70. When you put this on, it keeps everything exactly the same, but you gain a new attack or a new ability, and you get a new HP. When your opponents kill break Pokemons, they only take 1 prize card. They are not like Pokemon EXs, where your opponents get 2. They only get 1. So that's a Pokemon break. Okay. So with this, we actually conclude this chapter. Let's go to the next chapter.